Welcome back to the Critical Gentleman. Today is going to be sort of an unusual video, but something that I think is important to talk about nonetheless, and that is the current state of the vintage market. Stick around and we'll hash it out today on the Critical Gentleman. So what I want to do today is kind of talk through some of the landmark auctions that have taken place over the last, let's say, year and a half or so, that really give rise to the fact that watches, and specifically vintage collectible watches, are not going anywhere. So I just have a few auctions here selected that I want to sort of talk you through. The first is this new record-breaking Omega Speedmaster 2915-1. This is the first execution of the Omega Speedmaster that was released in 1957. It has the silver bezel, the silver tachometer with the black writing, as opposed to what is more commonly seen today and has been seen since everything after the 2915. Some of the other defining traits, of course, are the straight lug case, the early bracelet, and the long indices around the dial. When I say long indices, I'm referring to right here. You've got these longer markers, and of course this watch was radium, not tritium, and so you don't have Swiss made T, you simply got Swiss made. Now, anyway, 400 grand. $400,000. This broke a record for the most expensive Speedmaster ever sold, I believe. And this was only shortly after another one sold for, I think, 200 and change, and I have that auction here. So this 2915, 275,000. Let's see, when did this happen? Same reference, 2915-1, October 2017, 275. Let's take a look here. Condition: bezel has a little bit more damage. Dial looks to be in pretty good shape. Crown is correct. Flat pushers. Straight lug case. Original bracelet. Let's go back to the first one. Okay, so this case is significantly more polished. I would consider it to be less desirable. The bezel is in much better condition. As for the rest of it, crystal and hands seem to be pretty much in line with one another. If anything, this one has the nicer dial, I would think. And this one sold for significantly less, if you consider $125,000 to be significant difference between this one, which was just as recently as May of 2018. So I want to go back over to this piece, which is a 2998-1, which is the next iteration. You can see already we have the black bezel, base 1000 bezel, not a dot over 90 bezel. And this one is rough. They call it barn find, aka beat up, yet 110 grand. $110,000 at auction for this watch, and that's from November 2017. It would probably be more now, and that's in the situation where Baselworld had half of the vendors this year than it has in prior years. Somehow the Swiss watch industry claims that it is beyond help, or that they need help, or that it's dying, or whatever, what have you, yet we keep seeing these gigantic pieces come to auction. I guess it just goes to show that vintage collectibles are not subject to the same trends as modern production timepieces. Okay, here's another one. So watch this one with provenance, belonged to an emperor, $2.9 million. I almost can't say it out loud. It's a disgusting amount of money. And so these watches, you know, Patek Philippe, of course, engraved. It has the history, but $2.9 million. May 2017, a year ago. Okay, now if you want to really, I mean, I should probably save this one for last, but the fact is, Paul Newman was sold this year. When was this? October 2017. Paul Newman, most expensive wristwatch ever sold, $17.75 million. $17.75 million. That is a lot of money. That is a lot of money for a Paul Newman. For a while back, Paul Newmans were not that expensive. They were not that desirable. They were, I mean, they were fine, but they weren't like the end-all be-all of watch collections. Paul Newmans are now holy grails for many people. And this one, of course, the Paul Newman. Paul Newman. What do these generally go for? Maybe 100,000 in excellent condition. 145, 150. $17.752 million. October 2017. Elvis's watch, a hand-winding, small Omega Seamaster. Now, this is pretty special. White gold, diamond bezel. I have one of these. Not white gold, not diamond, solid 14 karat gold, not owned by Elvis. I think I paid $350. $1.8 million. Of course, this is not intrinsic value of the materials in the watch, or even the antique value of the watch. It is the provenance of the watch, the fact that this is not just any Omega Seamaster, it is Elvis Presley's Omega. Still, most expensive Omega watch ever sold. $1.8 million May this year, 2018. We'll keep going. The Bow Die Rolex. Now, this is actually one of my favorite watches that sold in the last year or so. It's just, well, first of all, it's a one of a kind. This dial is one of a kind, and it is, what I understand, is original. $5 million. $5 million because it belonged to the most recent emperor of Vietnam. I think it was Vietnam. May 2017. Auctioned for $5 million. Solid gold Rolex. Complicated Rolex. Diamond dial. $5 million. Okay, so that's the expensive stuff, right? Those are the biggies. Well, we don't have $5 million to spend on a Rolex with historical provenance, critical gentlemen. So how about you talk about some pieces that you and I might want to buy someday? Okay, let's do that. Rolex GMT Master with papers, 1675, faded bezel, fat font, probably original, I mean, purportedly original. Lume plots in really good shape. Crystal, not so much. I don't know. It's eBay. eBay! $91,000. Now, this is a very interesting piece. This came out of a series of pieces sold by this dealer, International 2013-2013. I don't know this person. I don't know their business. But they listed probably 2 or 3 dozen very high-end vintage watches at the same time. And the vintage community was sort of abuzz with all the different pieces this person was selling, and many of them reached some pretty hefty prices. This one, of course, $91,000 for a Rolex GMT Master. In good shape, except for the crystal. $91,000. Movement shot, that helps. Papers, yeah, that definitely helps. 91 grand. Okay, Rolex. 5513 meters first dial, gilt. I think it's a Bart dial. I don't know. That's the, for those of you who don't know, the Bart dial is a very specific iteration of the dial which the Rolex crown looks a lot like Bart Simpson's hairdo. Is that the original insert? Hard to say. Could be. Could be. Lume plots look good. Hands kind of match, so that's probably a nice indication. So some rotor damage. Probably needs a service. 26,000. Now, that's interesting because I see these go on forums for anywhere from 15 to 20. So why did a somewhat beat up one go on eBay for 26,000? James Bond Rolex, 5510. Never see these. $55,000. And these are all within the last 4 or 5 months, by the way. Okay, here's a good one. 10512 Speedmaster, pretty standard stuff. $15,000. This month, June. eBay. Okay, so these are the last two I want to talk about. Sorry, second to last two I want to talk about. 2 extra rare, and I will intentionally use the word rare for these 2 watches, even though everything is rare when you're trying to sell a vintage watch. Ultraman. Possible Ultraman watches. Now, the Ultraman is a rare Speedmaster reference, which is almost identical to the regular Speedmaster Professional, except for a bright orange seconds hand. Now, these 2 ended, I'm actually going to put this one on the right because it ended second, or in the same week. Went in the same week. By the way, this one came out of Highland Park, New Jersey. A shout out. I used to live in Highland Park, New Jersey. If I saw that, I should have emailed the guy. Maybe asked him to take a look. But anyway, I didn't do that. But what's interesting to me is this one, coming out of North Carolina, possible Ultraman watch. The description says no extract, which if you're trying to sell a $35,000 watch, wouldn't you want to get the extract? Tip of the seconds hand may have been shortened. So that's a little bit suspect. Interestingly, this watch had a whole thread to itself on one of the big forums where it was discussed, and someone purports to believe, now I cannot confirm this, purports to believe that this was not the real sale price. This was a fake price, basically made so that the dealer and the buyer made an agreement outside of eBay, but in order to stay within the rules of eBay, of course, they finished the auction and just put, you know, some ridiculous bid so that whoever won it, and then of course they would pay the real price that was agreed upon. Not really sure how that works, or if it's true. Disclaimer, not saying that happened, just read in a public place that that was what occurred. Fact is, chances of this being a true Ultraman watch seem to be slim. It is nice. You got the applied metal logo, Meister dial, dot over 90 bezel, and probably one of the better conditions that can be. But this one, as far as I'm aware, is a real auction. I don't know whether there was a deal reached outside of eBay before its conclusion. But this one, which, again, I don't know if there's an extract, but purports to be a true Ultraman Speedmaster, $33,000. So what is the point of all this? The point of this is that the vintage market is very healthy on eBay and elsewhere. From all of these Hodinky auctions I showed you, Christie's, Sotheby's, whatever that place was in Sweden. Yeah, sure, they're going to be up there. But eBay auctions, 90,000, 25, 55, 14.5, 35, 32. Wow, how about this one, eBay goers? Wait, no, that's just a watch I didn't win. My bad. $101,000 Speedmaster 2998. I'm sorry, 2915 on eBay. This is that same seller who put the 91,000 GMT up for sale. They probably finished in the same week. He even used his control number as a picture on the eBay auction. Who does that? 2915. Reloomed hands? Wrong hands? I'm not even sure. Maybe they're the original hands, but they look very green to me. Somewhat beat up. A little bit janky. Movement looks pretty good. That's nice. But $101,000. $101,000 on eBay. How does that happen? How do you pay for that? Can you PayPal someone $101,000? Can you put that on your Amex? I don't even know. So those of you thinking about buying vintage, I guess now's the time to buy, but even more so, it's the time to sell. So the bubble may burst. Frankly, if the bubble does burst, it's going to be on modern timepieces, not the vintage ones. Any decline in the prices of these collectibles is going to signal a downturn in the economy in general. Unless people start falling on hard times, these watches are only going to go up. That's simply how it is, because more people want them, and there are no more being produced. Sorry, they're not rolling any more 2915s off the line. So, if you need one, I guess get it now. Try to find it in some old person's drawer, because eBay, $100,000. Sorry, $101,000. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. So, moral of the story, buy used, buy pre-owned modern, and you're going to look at maybe a 25 to 40% discount under MSRP. And by the way, I'm sorry, under new gray market. Under MSRP, probably half, probably close to half. So, pre-owned modern is the way to go, unless you are really, really into the whole vintage thing, which I guess it's my own undoing. So, thanks for sticking around. I know this format's a little unusual, maybe more of a podcast, but I like to do a little screen share here and there. So let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. Dislike even if you want to. Just let me know, and I'll make more of these, or I won't if you don't want me to. And thanks for watching The Critical Gentleman. It's good to be back.